Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Justin McCormick. You had to pardon my voice. I've been quite sick for the past 24 hours. Just now, really getting over it thanks to my wonderful wife. Just wanted to kind of give a little feedback on something. Ryan Moody's been posting quite a bit of videos about the realism of Madden and how it's correlates to the NFL. One of the main things that he's been talking about is the Le'Veon Bell holdout, which has caused a number of issues for the Steelers and whatnot. And whether he's the reason or not, I digress. But, you know, NFL 2K5 was not the best game in the world. I mean, you've got things like, you've got your injuries and whatnot that cause issues. And this is just a little bit of an overall of my team. I've got my starter here, Chapman. Chapman is my 6'2", 244-pound quarterback who's got a cannon of an arm. I'll show you the ratings that he's got here. The pass strength of 90 with accuracy of 85. He's not really the leader that I need for this team, as the more of the leader is the backup Nichols. But one of the main issues that really messed me up was I was trying to hang on to these guys, and it really put myself in a financial bind. As you see, my cap room's down to 10K. I'm about to fix that here in a minute. But I see I've got got my salary cap penalties quite up there for these two guys. The only guy that I don't have is Kelly right here, who I'm probably about to unload to the Jets for some draft picks. But I've got a pretty good team and everything. But here's the thing that I want to look at. I traded for Lamont Jordan here, a wily veteran of 10 years who was previously on the Cowboys when I picked him up, and I got rid of LaDainian Tomlinson because, quite frankly, I would put myself in a financial bind, using up quite a bit of my salary cap just to have a guy that's getting older and starting to slow down a little bit. I mean, yes, he's a great back, but I decided to go with Lamont Jordan because of the fact that he's not really requesting a whole lot. He's at the end of his career, and he really just wants to play another year or two. He may end up retiring this year. And yes, there are things like retirements here in 2K, but there's nothing in this game that suggests things like holdout. Like, for example, I'm going to go to my wide receivers here. Santana Moss. He is the best player that I've got, and I'll show you the ratings that he's got. You see the contract that I'm giving him, 32.57 mil, having 4.65 million this year with a 6.51 penalty. And they usually have the signing bonuses on guys that I know I'm going to hang on to. You also see Davis, also another guy that I've got the high penalty on because, I just feel like Davis and Moss are the two guys I need. You see he's rated 100 here. He's got a 100 catch, 100 route run, 97 speed, 86 agility, things like that. So he's definitely what I need in the way of wide receivers. Also with a 46 break tackle, he's pretty good about getting the job done wherever I need it. But, other than putting myself in a bit of a financial bind on salary cap, other than the fact that, I had to go out and get free agents and everything, none of the players in this game have like holdouts. None of them have situations to where they say, I feel like I should be paid more, except for like a little bar that pops up, and I'll show you here. Let's say we're renegotiating the contract. There's an interest meter, and if that's not, high enough, you're not going to sign the guy. And usually in this game, the meter is going to have to be around this spot or higher, even something like a single notch, even something like a single notch that would cause the meter to go down would be just enough for him to change his mind, and that's a bit realistic, but some people are um, not so picky when it comes to stuff like this. I think back to when Peyton Manning gave up some of his would-be money so that the Colts would have more money to be able to sign guys that would help the team. That was him being selfless. Video games, a lot of times, they really don't replicate things like that. But again, if there was something like Santana Moss wanting to hold out because he wanted more money or more attention or more chances of the ball, more involved in the offense, then that would be a problem for my team, and that would pretty much destroy about 2/3 of my offense, because Santana Moss is a go-to receiver for me as well as Davis. Now, if somebody like, say, Jackson were to hold out on me, you can see Jackson's rating 65 here. However, Jackson does have a 94 catch, so it might put me in a bit of a bind, but I could probably bounce around that, considering that he is not my best receiver. He's actually quite slow. As you see, his speed is only 62. He is the absolute slowest guy on my offense. But he's a possession receiver that usually pops up in the slot, and so I use him for those much needed yards, like 7, 8, yards like that, usually on my out routes or inside slants. But if there were situations where these players were a holdout, it might cause an issue one way or the other, and I probably could bounce around some of the issues. But it's one of the few things that 2K didn't do in this game, and for a game to replicate football, realistic football, which is what Madden is supposed to be a realistic representation of the NFL, they've got to consider, without getting into personal things and stories and whatnot, like, say, a lot of drug trouble that happened back in the 90s and 2000s, and a lot of things like, say, like Randy Moss went through in his early life. You just you want to keep that kind of stuff out of the games, but to be able to bring in situations where players and their personalities come up against what the team is trying to do and making the team having to make decisions, it really can really add an extra level of strategy for the team to actually be able to take care of the situation. Again, personal issues aside, to be able to let the realism of this situation play out would actually make any game, whether it be Madden, 2K, whatever, would give it more immersion. But anyway, appreciate you guys watching. I know it was kind of a long video, but appreciate the time. Y'all have a great night, and take care. God bless.